all of our projects will end up looking different in the end depending on the color material that you're using and also the templates that you're using, but getting it started is the same process. So what you'll have is you'll have your template pieces. For mine, I mark down how many of each size I'm going to need, so then I don't have to, think about it too hard. And I also label it on the piece so I don't have to organize these by size order later on. Okay, so I'm using that just to sort of give me a start. And depending on what you want, you might cut all your pieces out of the same color, or maybe you have multiple colors for the same size piece. It does not matter. But the first things that you need to do is trace your pieces. And I recommend doing this in pencil. If you do it in pen and you make a mistake, well, then you kind of ruined your piece that you're going to be working with, unless you're planning on painting over top of it, in which Sharpie kind of gets covered with acrylic paint. Don't count on it. It would probably take a lot of layers. Anyways, so you're going to be tracing your piece and trace it all of the pieces that you're going to want. I'm just going to be doing one for here. And then you start by cutting out this piece. Okay. The big thing to keep in mind is that when you are cutting it out, that you make sure to follow your pencil line very well. Okay. If you have to cut it a little bit bigger, and then you trim it down later because cutting things out with the whole sheet is kind of tricky, that's fine. But make sure you really follow those lines. That's why we're tracing it in the first place. A little bit more. There you go. Anyways, so you're going to be doing this to all of your pieces. You're going to trace all your pieces. You're going to cut out the basic shape for all your pieces. One thing I do want to note is to save your paper. It is best to keep your pieces as close together as possible when you trace, in order to use your paper to its potential, or your cardboard, whatever material you're using, and also to be able to get as many of these cut out of one sheet as possible. You never know when you might make a mistake, and having that extra later on is super helpful. Okay, so after you have your piece cut out, you're going to need your template piece to figure out where you're going to be cutting your slits. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm also going to grab some tape. We're not going to be using tape to hold things together for our actual project, but you will need a little bit so then your template piece doesn't move. Okay, and that's extremely important. So I'm putting it on the back side in an area in which I am not going to be cutting. I'm going to line up my template piece with my shape that I've cut out. So it should be fairly lined up. I didn't do too bad. Okay. And then since this doesn't move, okay, that's going to be super helpful later on. Okay. So you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut into each of these slits. And you want to make sure you cut all the way up to the end of your guideline if you're using a template, or if you're making it your own, you want to make sure you cut halfway across your plain piece. So if I look right here, this is right at halfway. And that is extremely important for how slice forms fit together, making sure that you have half and half. Okay. So I'm just going to finish cutting through these really quick, and then I'm actually going to pick apart my completed one so you can kind of see how that is put together. All right. Okay. And I can take it apart. And then what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to be turning my slits into slots. See how I can't really see through them? The next step is changing them into slots, and I have a separate video for that, talking about them and the importance of creating your slots instead. But slots are essentially a wider slit. Okay, so I'm going to bring this guy right here. He turned out pretty cool and looks super cool because it has two colors in it. Anyways, so I'm actually going to take my middle ones. I can fix it later. This one. Nice. All right. And you can see I have some wider, you can really see it on my dark blue one, but you can see the slots in between, okay? You want to make sure that it's a little bit thicker than the material that you're working with. And the reason why you need them to have them halfway is because when we put them together, they're going to be going like this and crossing each other, okay? And when you have it halfway on both sides, they meet in the middle, okay? And then you're able to have it reach all the way to the end. If I only had it part way, it would stop right here, which if this works for your form that you're trying to create, your finished sculpture you're creating, you just want it part way on, oh, that's fine, okay? But if you want it to create, for this one, it'd be a sphere, since I'm using circular shapes, circular planes, that cutting all the way to halfway is really important, okay? And the fact that it has slots, it's able to move freely, and then I can work on adding more to my piece. So you are required to have a minimum of 25 of these planes. So this is a plane, so this is 1, this is 2, okay? And even on my piece that I have here, I don't even have 25 yet, so I'd have to add more to it or maybe add something to it. So maybe it's, I don't know, I'd figure something out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I only have 14 pieces in here, okay? And see how complex this is? And this is only 14 pieces, okay? You can create as tall of a sculpture you want, as wide of a sculpture, have it hanging from the ceiling, but your big goal is to have 25 of these planes. It can be whatever shape template you want. You can use the templates that I have shared with you and use them. You can make up your own. Both is acceptable. And yeah, have fun with this. If you have questions, make sure you let me know.